Pole dancers, what do your boyfriends think about your job? I opened my boyfriend's phone and saw someone sent him breasts that weren't mine. This year I haven't had the best luck with money. I've been out of a job nearly all of last semester, and it's been hard to pay my half of the rent along with saving money for school. My boyfriend was pressuring me to get a new job every waking moment even though he comes from money and could very easily pay for both of us. But I was raised to not to rely on anyone, so I job hunted endlessly and was getting ignored left and right. Luckily, I had a friend who was working at a pole dancing club not far from where we live who said they needed a new waitress. When I came to the club, I spoke with the manager and to my surprise, she told me the waitress position had been filled an hour before I got there. I thanked her for hearing me out and all, but I almost started crying in the club. That's when I felt a slap on my butt. The manager said that I actually had a bod that they were looking for. She said that while the waitress position was filled, they were always looking for new dancers. Without thinking twice, I immediately said yes and agreed to start the next week. She gave me some forms to fill out and advised that I take some Obvi collagenic pills to slim down my tummy. When I got home, I was ecstatic. So when I told my boyfriend how excited I was, I expected him to be proud of me for finally getting a job that would pay well. Instead, he told me, "You're not doing that. Don't you dare turn in those papers." I started seeing red, and I wanted to twist his neck. His reasoning was that he didn't sign up to date a STRper and that there was no way we were going to have a regular relationship with me as a STRper. I didn't care. I stood on business. After about 3 hours of arguing back and forth, I told him that I was doing this with or without his support. That must have really gotten to him because he didn't say a word. When I got to the club the next week, I was feeling a bit anxious to meet all the other girls. I went to the dressing room and I saw every part of them, their waxing processes, all of their breast shapes and sizes, and their makeup routines. When I was getting ready, a girl named Paris introduced herself to me and showed me around. She asked me if our manager Stacy told me about the Obvi pills, and I told her that I forgot to order them. She gave me a couple of her own pills and told me to take them so I could get a head start on the weight loss process. I thanked her and she said not to worry about it but reminded me to stay consistent. Before we opened, Paris showed me some standard pole tricks to get me through the night, but I'm a fast learner so I didn't really worry. Admittedly, that entire day I was nervous because my boyfriend hasn't talked to me since our argument. I was mentally preparing myself for the idea that our relationship might be over. When I got home, I found a brand new pole installed in our living room with a bow attached to it. My boyfriend actually apologized for causing me so much trouble and said he'll support me no matter what. Safe to say that night I was dancing on his tip. For the next few weeks things were going really well. I was taking Obvi Elite regularly so my stomach was getting flatter by the minute. My boyfriend always had dinner prepared for me even when I came home at 1 in the morning, and Paris and I were getting really close at work. I was becoming dangerously good at dancing and was bringing home $500 and up a night. I thought that I was really talented and I wanted my boyfriend to see, but for some reason he would never come to my job to watch me. I offered him numerous times that I'd get him free drinks or free entry, but he wouldn't budge. At a certain point his kindness and avoidance was making me suspicious of him. He would come home with weird smells, he would have occasional carpal tunnel, and worst of all, he stopped initiating to get freaky with me. I know this is frowned upon, but I looked through his phone. I looked through his photos, nothing. His Instagram, nothing. But when I opened his messages, I opened a hidden message to find a big pair of red bone breasts. All his replies were those corny drooling emojis and tongue emojis. That's just embarrassing. But there was something about those red bone breasts. They looked terribly familiar. Maybe it's because I tend to absorb as much information I can or I have a photographic memory, but those breasts were without a doubt Paris's. Regrettably, I took out my anger on her first instead of my boyfriend. When I saw her at work, I cornered her and pressured her to tell me why she was sending her big old tatas to my boyfriend. What she told me blew my mind. She said, "Boyfriend? Anything Aaron is a regular around here." That's when I took a step back. Anything Aaron? According to Paris, almost every girl here knows Aaron. He went during the day and always tipped huge every week. He would pay for literally anything the girls would offer him: a hug, feet pics, light motorboating, and even oily hand movements. He also paid a lot extra to have the girls on his phone for when he needed an instant nut, which is why he got carpal tunnel. Paris profusely apologized to me saying she didn't know he had a girlfriend and that she'd never betray me like that. I told her not to worry about it, but there was no way Aaron was getting away with this. One night, I invited Aaron to my club like usual, saying he would get a VIP pass which was free entry, drinks, and exclusive champagne with the rapper that was coming that night. Like always, he said no at first, but I told Paris to tell him that she wanted to thank him by giving him the best and quickest blowy of his life because she learned a new method. Aaron was thinking with his other head and changed his mind about going. When he arrived at the club, Paris told him to meet her in the dressing room bathroom, and to leave his pants on the door handle to show he was there. When Aaron got there, Paris and I immediately poured 5 bottles of liquid butt, the same stuff the army uses, into an AC that was blowing into that bathroom. We heard Aaron screaming from the liquid butt and let him stay in there for a good 15 minutes before we let him out. When we let him out, I took some of Paris's glitter stash and dumped it on his head. Right outside the back, we had his stuff from the apartment waiting right outside covered in glitter. On top of that, I posted screenshots of his simping messages with Paris on his own Instagram, on Reddit, and TikTok slideshows. Personally, I think this was the best revenge. To top everything off, it turns out that Aaron didn't have a job and was paying all my coworkers with the money his parents were giving him. Good riddance. I can't believe Paris showed her glorious tatas to him.